Howdy, friends. Steve DePaul here with the Rose Realty team with this week's Real Estate Vlog for North Texas. Today is a buyer-friendly market in our future. Before we get started, we ask you to go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Let's Do Real Estate Texas. There's no charge, but you will be alerted to updates and changes to our series Spotlight on Community, Focus on Small Business, and of course, our weekly real estate updates on North Texas. Thank you. Let's get started. So let's talk about some of the analytics and let's talk about some of the facts. So there was a dip in listings around the 4th of July. Now, that happens a lot around holidays, right? And so this isn't necessarily breaking news, but it's significant because there was a bigger dip in listings than there has been in the past. Now, listings are expected to bounce back in the coming weeks after 4th of July, which they did. If you pay attention to a particular market, you can tell that the listings did bounce back. The number of listings did bounce back after the 4th of July weekend, but they got kind of gobbled up kind of quickly. Okay, but listings did bounce back, and we did have a dip. So listings actually bounced back stronger this year than they did in past years. Now, inventory improvement. Recent inventory overall has been sort of on an upward trend over the last 2 months or so. Now, this is showing some relief from that kind of like the real estate frenzy that we were in, where some houses didn't even make it to the market. They were sold. If you might have noticed, like you maybe following a particular area, a particular town, or a particular development, a community inside of that town, and you might be following it on stuff like Zillow or Realtor.com. Then you'll notice that, like, oh, this house just came on the market, and like the next day, oh, this house is pending. Okay, well, technically what happened was that house actually sold before it was listed, and the agent is just trying to pad their numbers, trying to make their numbers look great. Okay, but this happened a lot. Well, post 4th of July, we saw that the listings were up. This kind of pre-sales thing didn't happen quite as often, and so we're getting a little bit of relief from that frenzy where you had like 8 or 10 bids on a house, and it was way over market. Way over asking price. So that frenzy starting to ease. We also showing a slowing in price growth. There are actually certain communities throughout the Metroplex, high-end communities, don't get me wrong, where people are actually starting now to take a cut in their asking price. Now, what's happened, it's sort of like this perfect bad storm in a way, right? In where what the agent did is they went in and they said, oh, you could get this much money for your house. It was a way for them to sell their services. Okay, so if the seller was thinking I can get 400, the agent comes in and says, yeah, you can get 440 for it, and they listed at 440. Well, back in the first quarter of the year, they would probably get like 480 for that house. Now that agent didn't move with the times, you may want to call it, where you might want to say, right? They didn't adapt and overcome. And what they did is they listed at a 440, expecting the frenzy to continue. And now the seller has to drop the price. Okay. And so that's basically what's happening. So there is some price easing. Okay. And there is some buyers are starting to get some breathing room, and that the houses that are hitting the market are not selling the next day. And so that gives you an opportunity to get there and kind of see it. So that's different than it was, let's say, the first third of the year. Okay. Now, houses are staying on the market just a little bit longer. There are some houses that are in multiple listing services, or that you see on Realtor.com or Zillow or those kinds of places, where their listing time is is weeks now. Okay, they've been on the market for 10 or 20 or 25 days. Okay, this is showing early signs that again, that frenzy is kind of over with, or at least easing, and that houses are staying on the market just just a little bit longer, right? Now, there's also a downward trend. So analytics is telling us that there's a downward trend in searches for real estate and for the number of mortgage applications that were filed around the June 25th or so timeframe. That's like the week before 4th of July. So those were both on a downward trend for new. I'm going to say for new purchase applications. Refis are still going on, great guns. But for new purchase applications, that's sort of on it was sort of on a downward trend. So that's important to know. But so here in North Texas, the market is strong. I mean, don't get me wrong. The housing market is still competitive and prices are still high, and people are getting, above, most people are getting above the home value for their house. Okay. Now, what we're expecting in North Texas is for ultimately for 2021 for housing prices to go up between realistically 8 to 10% over last year, or actually over last year and the year before. Okay, which is good news. What we're expecting for 2022 is for prices to go up in that 5 to 8% range, which is more normalized. Okay, that this 8 to 10% is due in part to that to the frenzy and the after effects of the pandemic and the COVID-19. Okay, so we're expecting more normalized real estate market in 2022, which means what? So which means if you're a home seller, if you're thinking about selling your home, now's the time to still strike. We still got like a quarter or a third of the year left. Now's the time to strike and sell your house. So, give us a call. We'll help you get through that, and we'll help you understand what the value of your house is and what it could possibly sell for. If you're a home buyer, okay, there are I would call them bargains, still out there to be had. But what that also means, right, is we have to look for in specific communities and specific towns and specific communities for houses that have maybe sat for a week or 10 days. Okay. That doesn't mean that the house is a dog, but what that means is for some reason that house isn't attracting as much attention as it should. Maybe the real estate agent or the team hasn't done the marketing or hasn't done the promos that they should have on that house, like open houses and that kinds of stuff. And so the house is sitting a little bit longer. Okay. So there's still for buyers and sellers, for buyers, now's a good time to strike and kind of get some of those houses that are still on the market. And for sellers, your house is never going to be worth more than it is right now. Next week is going to be a really good topic. We see a lot of commercials out there for all these other agencies and all these other brokerages, and they've got all of these things that can help you sell your house. That Keller Williams and our brokerage has 6 different ways that we can help you buy and sell real estate, whether it's going to be a permanent resident or you're talking about investing. Okay. We have 6 different ways, and all of them are just phenomenal tools, right? That a lot of people don't know about because, well, we don't do a real good job at advertising them. We do a great job at advertising your home for sale. We don't do a great job at advertising these tools to use for your property. So whether you're buying or selling, 6 tools that we can help you buy and sell. Stay tuned for that one. This is Steve DePoe with the Rose Realty team. Thanks for listening. I'm going to bounce.